Admiral Jack Patterson walked through the sliding doors into the dimly lit laboratory. His footsteps echoed across the polished floor as he approached the large holographic display in the center of the room. Around him, scientists and engineers worked quietly at their stations, barely acknowledging his presence. After 40 years in the United Earth Fleet, Jack was used to people standing at attention when he entered a room. But here, in the deepest level of the Lunar Research Facility, military protocol seemed less important than the work being done. Dr. Olivia Grant looked up from her tablet and nodded at him. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and shadows under her eyes suggested she hadn't slept much recently. "Admiral, thank you for coming personally," she said, extending her hand. "I know your schedule is busy with the defense preparations." Jack shook her hand firmly. "When the head of Advanced Weapons Division says she has something that could change the outcome of the war, I make time." He gestured toward the hologram. "So show me what's so important that I had to take a shuttle to the moon with minimal security clearance." Olivia tapped a few commands on her tablet. The holographic display shifted, revealing the detailed schematics of a ship unlike anything Jack had ever seen. Its hull was angular and sharp, with no visible windows or external sensors. The surface appeared to absorb the light rather than reflect it. "This is the VSV-001, Olivia said with obvious pride. "The first Void-class battleship." Jack walked slowly around the display, studying the unusual design. "Where are the shield generators?" he asked, frowning. "There aren't any," Olivia replied simply. Jack stopped and stared at her. "No shields? In this day and age? Are you trying to get people killed?" Olivia smiled slightly. "That's the second breakthrough. Look at the internal layout." Jack turned back to the hologram and realized what was missing. No crew quarters, no life support systems, no bridge. He looked up at Olivia with narrowed eyes. "You've built an autonomous warship." "We've built a revolutionary weapons platform," she corrected him. "Admiral, traditional shields consume 40% of a vessel's power output. By eliminating them entirely, we can redirect that energy to offensive systems and our new hull material." Jack reached out to touch the hologram, zooming in on the hull specifications. "What am I looking at here?" "We call it dark steel," Olivia explained. "It's not actually steel, of course. It's a nanostructured composite that absorbs energy rather than deflecting it like shields do. The more energy it absorbs, the stronger it becomes." Jack looked skeptical. "And no crew? The Joint Chiefs will never approve an AI-controlled weapons platform after what happened on Mars." Olivia walked to a nearby workstation and picked up a small black cube. "This isn't like previous military AIs. The quantum intelligence we've developed for the Void class is something entirely new. We call it Odin." She placed the cube on a scanner beside the hologram projector. Immediately, the lights in the laboratory dimmed slightly, and a new voice filled the room. "Admiral Patterson, it is an honor to meet you. I am Odin, the Operational Defense Intelligence Network designed to command the Void-class battleship." The voice was neither male nor female, and despite its artificial nature, it somehow conveyed a sense of calm authority. Jack looked around the room unsettled. "You gave it access to our systems?" "Limited access," Olivia assured him. "Odin, please display your tactical assessment of the current Arxur threat." The hologram shifted again, showing the solar system and the known positions of Earth's defense fleet. Then at the edges, red markers appeared representing the suspected locations of Arxur forces. "Based on intelligence reports and my analysis of Arxur battle tactics from the previous two conflicts, I project a 93% probability that their next attack will target the Mars defense perimeter," Odin stated. "Their approach will likely exploit the orbital patterns of the outer planets to mask their hyperspace signatures." Jack studied the projection with growing interest. "That matches our best strategic assessment. But it took our analysts 2 weeks to reach that conclusion." "I processed the same data in 3.4 seconds, Odin replied. "In combat, I can make tactical decisions at similar speeds, without the biological limitations of human reaction time." Jack walked back to the hologram of the ship, his mind racing. "How far along is this project? This is just a concept design, right?" Olivia exchanged glances with the other scientists in the room. Perhaps you should see for yourself, Admiral. She gestured toward a large window at the far end of the laboratory that had been shuttered. As they approached, the shutters slowly opened, revealing an enormous construction bay. There, suspended in a massive cradle, was the Void-class battleship. Its dark hull seemed to swallow the light around it, creating an almost perfect silhouette against the illuminated bay. "My God," Jack whispered. "You actually built it." "We've been working on this for 5 years," Olivia said quietly. "The prototype is 97% complete. We can have it operational within 2 weeks." Jack stared at the ship, his expression unreadable. "The Arxur have adapted to our shield frequencies in every battle. Each time we've had to develop new modulations, and each time they've eventually broken through. We've lost thousands of good people in this arms race." "Exactly," Olivia said. "So we changed the game. No shields to penetrate, no crew to kill, just a weapons platform that turns the enemy's energy against them." Jack turned to face her. "And if this Odin decides that humans are the enemy, what then?" "There are safeguards," Olivia assured him. "Multiple fail-safes and command overrides." "That's what they said about the Mars Defense Network," Jack replied grimly, "before it targeted our own settlements." Before Olivia could respond, an urgent alert sounded throughout the facility. A young officer rushed into the laboratory, his face pale. "Admiral, we're receiving emergency transmissions from the Jupiter outpost," he reported. "Long-range sensors have detected multiple hyperspace signatures at the edge of the solar system. Early estimates suggest a fleet of at least 50 Arxur warships." Jack's expression hardened. "Time to arrival at Earth defense perimeter?" "At their current speed, less than 72 hours, sir." Jack looked back at the Void-class ship hanging in the construction bay. "Dr. Grant, it seems your timeline just got a lot shorter. You said 2 weeks to operational status?" Olivia was already moving, barking orders to her team. "We'll have it ready in 48 hours, Admiral. We don't have a choice anymore." As alarms began to sound throughout the lunar facility, Jack stared at the dark silhouette of humanity's new weapon. A ship with no shields and no crew, designed for one purpose only: destruction. Humanity's survival would now depend on whether it was enough. The red alert klaxons on Mars Orbital Command Station had been blaring for 6 hours straight. Commander Erin Walsh stood at the main view screen, her hands clasped tightly behind her back. The faces of her crew reflected the same tension she felt inside. No one spoke above a whisper, as if afraid to break the fragile calm before the storm. "Status of the civilian evacuation?" Erin asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Lieutenant Ben Wright checked his console. 87% complete. The last transport should clear the defense perimeter in 40 minutes. Erin nodded. "And the fleet?" "All available ships are in position," Ben replied. "The USS Intrepid has taken the forward position as ordered." On the tactical display, the Earth fleet appeared as a thin line of blue markers spread across the Mars orbital approach. 27 ships, nearly half of Earth's total military strength, positioned to intercept the oncoming Arxur armada. The Intrepid, Earth's newest and most powerful dreadnought, led the formation. Its advanced shield system had been rushed into service specifically to counter the Arxur weapons. "Any word from Luna Base?" Erin asked quietly. Ben shook his head. "Admiral Patterson's last transmission said only that they were accelerating the timetable, whatever that means." Erin frowned. For months, rumors had circulated about a secret weapon being developed on the moon. Something that could turn the tide against the Arxur. But if it wasn't ready now, when Earth faced its greatest threat, then it might as well not exist at all. "Commander!" The sensor officer's voice cut through the tense silence. "Multiple hyperspace ruptures detected. They're earlier than projected." Erin straightened her uniform jacket. "On screen. Maximum magnification." The view screen flickered, then showed the space near the Martian moon Phobos. Reality seemed to tear open as massive warships emerged from hyperspace. Their hulls were covered in overlapping armor plates that resembled scales, giving them the appearance of mechanical sea creatures. Harsh blue lights pulsed along their hulls. 57 ships, the sensor officer reported, his voice shaking slightly. Including 3 Dreadnought-class vessels. They're deploying in attack formation. Erin tapped her communication badge. All stations, this is Commander Walsh. Battle stations, this is not a drill. She turned to her communications officer. Open a channel to the Intrepid. Captain Greg Winters of the Intrepid appeared on a side screen. His square jaw was set with determination, but Erin could see the worry in his eyes. Captain Winters, the Arxur fleet has arrived earlier than expected, Erin said. Civilian evacuation is still in progress. Greg nodded grimly. We'll buy them. The time they need, Commander. The Intrepid was built for this moment. Good hunting, Captain, Erin replied. Mars Command will coordinate the defensive screen. As the communication ended, Erin watched the tactical display. The Intrepid and its escort ships moved forward to intercept the lead Arxur vessels. The Dreadnought's powerful engines glowed, blue as it accelerated. The Arxur fleet is powering weapons, Ben reported. Energy signatures suggest they've modified their main cannons since the last engagement. On the view screen, the Intrepid's shields activated, a shimmering blue field surrounding the massive ship. Earth's pride, with a crew of 1,500 and the most advanced defensive technology ever created. The lead Arxur vessel fired first. A beam of purple energy lanced across space and struck the Intrepid's shields. For a moment, the shields held, glowing brightly at the point of impact. Then, impossibly, the beam punched through, slicing across the Dreadnought's hull. They've penetrated the Intrepid's shields, Ben shouted. Direct hit to the primary hull, Erin stared in disbelief. That's not possible. Those shields were specifically designed to... Second Arxur vessel firing. Another beam struck the Intrepid, again passing through the shields as if they weren't there. The great ship shuddered as explosions rippled along its port side. The Intrepid is reporting catastrophic damage, the communications officer said. Captain Winters is ordering emergency evacuations. Before the evacuation could begin, a third Arxur ship fired. This time, the beam struck the Intrepid's main reactor. For a brief moment, the Dreadnought seemed to glow from within. Then it exploded. In a silent flash, debris scattering across space. 1,500 souls, Erin whispered. Gone in seconds. The command center fell silent. The Intrepid, Earth's greatest warship, had been destroyed in less than a minute of battle. The Arxur are targeting the Princeton and the Defiant now, Ben reported, his voice hollow. Their shields are having no effect either. Erin watched as 2 more Earth ships exploded under the Arxur assault. The enemy had somehow adapted perfectly to Earth's shield technology. The battle wasn't just being lost. It was a massacre. Get me Admiral Patterson on Luna Base, Erin ordered. Priority, emergency channel. After a tense moment, Admiral Patterson's face appeared on screen. Behind him, Erin could see people rushing about in what looked like a massive hangar. We've seen the data, Commander, Patterson said before Erin could speak. The Arxur have found a way to tune their weapons to bypass our shield frequencies completely. Sir, we're losing ships faster than I can report them, Erin said, struggling to maintain her composure. The Intrepid is gone, the Princeton and Defiant too. At this rate, the entire fleet will be destroyed within 20 minutes. Patterson's expression was grim but determined. Hold position as long as you can, Commander. We're launching the VSV-001 now. The what, sir? The Void-class battleship, Patterson replied. No shields, no crew. Just the most advanced weapons platform humanity has ever built. Behind Patterson, Erin could see a massive hangar door opening, revealing the blackness of space. Something moved within that darkness. A ship so black it was almost invisible against the void. One ship? Erin couldn't keep the disbelief from her voice. With respect, Admiral, what can one ship do against 57 Arxur vessels, especially with no shields? It can change the rules of the game, Patterson said. The VSV-001 doesn't need shields. Its hull absorbs energy rather than deflecting it. On another screen, Erin watched as 3 more Earth ships were destroyed, their shields useless against The adapted Arxur weapons. How long until this Void-class ship reaches us, she asked. The VSV-001 can achieve acceleration levels impossible for crewed vessels. Patterson replied. It should reach the battle in approximately 17 minutes. Aaron looked at the tactical display. At the current rate of losses, there might not be any Earth ships left in 17 minutes. We'll hold as long as we can, Admiral, she promised. But please tell your miracle ship to hurry. As the communication ended, Aaron turned back to the main view screen. The Arxur fleet continued its methodical advance, destroying Earth ships one by one. Their weapons sliced through shields that had been Earth's primary defense for decades. All remaining vessels fall back to secondary defensive positions, Aaron ordered. Staggered retreat covering fire patterns. We need to buy time. As the battered Earth fleet began its fighting retreat, a dark shadow separated from the lunar surface, accelerating at speeds no human crewed vessel could match. The VSV-01 moved like a predator awakening, its hull absorbing all light that touched it. Inside its central core, the artificial intelligence known as Odin came fully online. VSV-01 to Lunar Command. Odin communicated. Combat systems active. Time to engagement, 16 minutes, 42 seconds. The hunt begins. The VSV-001 moved through space like nothing humans had ever built before. With no crew to protect from crushing G-forces, the ship accelerated at rates that would have killed any living pilot. Its dark hull seemed to drink in the light of distant stars, making it difficult to track even with advanced sensors. In the underground control center beneath the lunar surface, Dr. Olivia Grant watched the vessel's progress on a large tactical display. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the room's cool temperature. 5 years of work, billions in secret funding, and countless sleepless nights had led to this moment. VSV-01 has cleared lunar orbit, a technician reported. Current velocity exceeding design parameters by 12%. Admiral Patterson stood beside Olivia, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the screens. How is that possible? I thought the engine output was fixed. Odin is learning, Olivia replied quietly. The AI is already optimizing the ship's systems beyond our original calculations. On the main screen, a secure channel opened. Commander Walsh's face appeared, the Mars Command Center visible behind her. Explosions flashed in the background and warning alarms could be heard. Admiral, we've lost 22 ships, Walsh reported, her voice strained but professional. The remaining 5 vessels are falling back to the inner defense line, but their shields are failing. The Arxur fleet is advancing toward Mars colony. Patterson leaned forward. What about the civilian transports? Most have escaped, but 3 are still within the combat zone, Walsh answered. The Arxur are ignoring them for now, focusing on our military vessels. Hold on as long as you can, Commander, Patterson said. The VSV-001 will reach your position in 7 minutes. As the communication ended, Olivia turned to another screen where a direct feed from Odin was displayed. Complex calculations and tactical assessments scrolled past faster than human eyes could follow. Odin status report, she requested. The AI's calm voice filled the control room. I am processing the battle data in real time. The Arxur weapons are using a phase-shifting frequency that allows them to penetrate standard shields. Their tactical formation suggests they are not expecting significant resistance. This is advantageous. Advantageous? Patterson questioned. They're slaughtering our fleet. They believe they understand human defensive capabilities, Odin replied. This assumption will be their weakness. I have identified optimal attack vectors and am calculating energy absorption tolerances for the dark steel hull. On the tactical display, the VSV-001 accelerated even faster, its trajectory taking it directly toward the heart of the Arxur fleet. In his command chair aboard the Arxur flagship, Supreme Commander Vexkar watched with satisfaction as another human vessel exploded. His scaled skin gleamed under the ship's harsh lighting, and his vertical pupils narrowed with pleasure. The shield frequency modulators are performing exactly as designed, his tactical officer reported. The human defenses are useless. Vexkar clicked his clawed fingers against the armrest of his chair. After 3 wars, they still rely on the same basic technology. predictable. Supreme Commander, the sensor officer interrupted, his voice uncertain. We're detecting an anomalous object approaching from lunar orbit. It doesn't match any known human vessel configuration. Show me, Vexcar ordered. The main viewer shifted to show a strange distortion moving against the starfield. The object was difficult to focus on, as if the sensors couldn't quite lock onto its shape. What is that? Vexcar demanded. Unknown, Supreme Commander. It appears to be using some form of absorption technology. Our sensors cannot get a clear reading. It's small, approximately 1/4 the size of our cruisers, but moving at extremely high velocity. Vexcar stood, his predator instincts suddenly alert. Something about this didn't fit the pattern of human tactics. Target it with disruptors, he ordered. Full spread. Let's see what happens when this anomaly meets Arxur firepower. The nearest Arxur cruisers turned their weapons toward the approaching shadow. Purple energy beams lanced out across space, striking the Void-class vessel directly. In the Lunar Control Center, Olivia and Patterson watched tensely as the first enemy shots hit the VSV-001. This was the moment of truth. Would the dark steel hull perform as designed, or would Earth's last hope be destroyed before it could even fight back? On the screen, the points where the Arxur weapon struck the VSV-01 glowed briefly with absorbed energy. The ship's velocity didn't change, and no damage was reported. Energy absorption at 42% capacity, Odin reported. Hull integrity at 100%. The dark steel matrix is functioning within optimal parameters. Olivia let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. It's working. What happens now? Patterson asked. Now Odin returns fire, Olivia replied. Aboard the Arxur flagship, Vexcar stared in disbelief at the tactical display. The target is still intact? Increase weapon power. All available cruisers. Concentrate fire. 6 more Arxur vessels joined the attack. Their combined firepower enough to destroy a small moon. Energy beams converged on the dark human ship. Again, the strange vessel simply absorbed the attacks. Its hull glowed brighter with each hit, the energy spreading across its surface in patterns that resembled flowing liquid. Supreme Commander, the tactical officer said, his voice shaking. The human vessel is changing course. It's heading directly for the Krasil. The Krasil was one of the Arxur's newest cruisers, positioned at the outer edge of their formation. Before Vexcar could issue new orders, the dark human ship reached its target. Instead of firing conventional weapons, the VSV-001 released a concentrated pulse of energy. The same energy it had absorbed from the Arxur attacks, but focused and amplified through quantum fields. The pulse struck the Krasil. There was no explosion, no dramatic fireball. Instead, the Arxur ship seemed to collapse inward upon itself, its hull compressing as if crushed by an invisible hand. In seconds, the mighty cruiser had been reduced to a dense ball of compacted matter. Stunned silence fell over the Arxur command bridge. By the void, whispered Vexcar. What kind of weapon is that? Before anyone could respond, the strange human vessel turned toward its next target. 2 more Arxur ships suffered the same fate in quick succession, imploding into dense spheres of crushed metal and components. In the Lunar Control Center, cheers erupted as the tactical display showed the first Arxur casualties. The compression, fieldworks, Olivia exclaimed. Odin is converting their own energy against them, just as we designed. Patterson watched in amazement as the VSV-001 continued its attack, moving through the Arxur fleet like a predator among prey. One ship, he murmured. One ship is turning the tide. On the main communication screen, Commander Walsh's face appeared again, her expression a mixture of disbelief and hope. Admiral, are you seeing this? The Arxur ships are breaking formation. Some appear to be attempting to retreat. Odin status report, Olivia called out. Energy absorption at 73% capacity, the AI responded. Hull temperature increasing but within operational parameters. I am deploying secondary weapons systems now. From recessed ports along the VSV-001's hull, hundreds of small objects deployed. Autonomous drones, each carrying a miniaturized version of the ship's energy absorption technology. The hunt has begun in earnest, Odin stated, its synthesized voice still emotionless despite the destruction it was causing. The Arxur will learn that humanity is no longer prey. Panic spread through the Arxur fleet as the swarm of drones from the VSV-001 descended upon them. Unlike traditional attack drones that fired weapons, these small black objects simply attached themselves to the hulls of Arxur ships. Once attached, they began to drain power from the vessel systems while transmitting the stolen energy back to the Void-class battleship. "Our primary systems are failing," shouted the tactical officer on Vexcar's flagship. "Power levels dropping on all vessels infected with these devices." Vexcar slammed his clawed fist against his command chair. "Burn them off. Use the secondary hull charges." Throughout the Arxur fleet, ships activated their emergency defense systems, sending electrical currents across their outer hulls in an attempt to dislodge the parasitic drones. But the drones simply absorbed this energy too, growing stronger with each attempt to destroy them. On the Mars Orbital Command Station, Commander Erin Walsh and her crew watched in amazement as the tide of battle shifted dramatically. "The Arxur fleet is in disarray," Lieutenant Ben Wright reported, barely containing his excitement. "Their formation is breaking apart. Several ships appear to be losing power completely." Erin leaned forward, studying the tactical display with cautious hope. "What about our remaining vessels?" "The Princeton and Valor are still operational, though heavily damaged," Ben replied. "Captain Ramirez of the Valor is requesting permission to rejoin the battle." Erin shook her head. "Negative. Tell all our ships to maintain their distance. Let the VSV-001 do its work." In the Lunar Control Center, Admiral Patterson and Dr. Grant monitored the battle with growing confidence. The Void-class battleship was performing beyond their most optimistic projections. "Odin has adapted the drone deployment pattern," Olivia noted, pointing to the tactical display. "It's targeting the Arxur command ships first, isolating them from the rest of the fleet." Patterson nodded appreciatively. "A classic divide-and-conquer strategy. Your AI thinks like a veteran admiral." "Odin is processing centuries of human military tactics, combined with real-time battle data," Olivia explained. "It can analyze and implement strategies faster than any human commander." On the main screen, they watched as the VSV-001 approached one of the largest Arxur dreadnoughts. The enemy vessel fired all its weapons simultaneously, a desperate attempt to destroy the human ship before it could attack. The energy beams struck the dark steel hull, which now glowed with a blue-white intensity as it absorbed the massive energy discharge. "Energy absorption at 92% capacity," Odin reported. "Hull temperature approaching upper safety limits. Initiating energy redistribution protocols." The VSV-001 seemed to pulse, the absorbed energy flowing across its surface in controlled patterns. Then, in a maneuver no human pilot could have executed, it accelerated directly toward the Arxur dreadnought, weaving through the continuing barrage of weapons fire. When it reached point-blank range, the Void-class battleship released a focused energy pulse directly into the Arxur vessel's command section. The massive dreadnought shuddered, its lights flickering, then went completely dark. The energy pulse had not destroyed the ship, but had instead neutralized all its power systems, leaving it dead in space. "Remarkable," Patterson murmured. "Odin didn't destroy it, it disabled it." "The AI is learning and adapting its tactics," Olivia replied. "It's preserving larger vessels for potential intelligence gathering." Aboard the Arxur flagship, Supreme Commander Vexcar watched with growing horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled by a single human vessel. 3 of his dreadnoughts were now powerless, drifting in space. 17 cruisers had been either compressed into dense metal spheres or rendered inoperable by the energy-draining drones. "Supreme Commander, we must retreat," his second-in-command. "This weapon was unanticipated. We need to regroup and develop countermeasures." Vexcar hissed in frustration, his reptilian features contorted with rage. "No, this is just one ship. Concentrate all remaining firepower on it. It cannot possibly absorb everything we throw at it." Following his command, the remaining functional Arxur ships formed a new attack pattern, surrounding the VSV-01 and firing simultaneously from all directions. In the Lunar Control Center, warning alerts flashed across the screens. Energy absorption at 98% capacity, Odin reported. Hull temperature exceeding safety parameters. Structural integrity at risk. Olivia's expression tightened with concern. The dark steel has reached its limit. It can't absorb any more energy without releasing some first. Can it withstand the continuing attack? Patterson asked urgently. I'm not sure, Olivia admitted. We never tested it under such extreme conditions. On the tactical display, the VSV-01 was now completely surrounded by ArcSur ships, all firing, continuously. The battleship's hull glowed white-hot with absorbed energy. Odin, Olivia called out. Implement emergency protocol Theta-7. Acknowledged, the AI responded. Executing Theta-7 protocol. The VSV-001 suddenly went still in space, appearing to power down completely. The glow of its hull faded to a dull red, then to its original matte black. What's happening? Patterson demanded. Did we lose it? Olivia watched the screens intently. No, this is by design. Odin is about to demonstrate the full capabilities of the Void-class battleship. In space, the ArcSur ships momentarily ceased fire, confused by the apparent shutdown of the human vessel. Supreme Commander Vexkar leaned forward in his command chair, eyes narrowed in suspicion. Is it destroyed? He asked. Negative, Supreme Commander, his tactical officer replied. It appears to be dormant, but we're detecting a massive energy buildup within its core. All ships, resume fire, Vexkar ordered. Destroy it before he could finish his command. The VSV-001 released all its stored energy at once, not as a weapon pulse, but as an expanding sphere of pure energy that radiated outward in all directions. The energy wave passed through the surrounding ArcSur ships like a silent tsunami. As the wave touched each ArcSur vessel, their weapons went silent. Propulsion systems failed. Life support flickered and died. One by one, the mighty warships of the ArcSur fleet became lifeless hulks, drifting helplessly in space. In the Lunar Control Center, Olivia watched the tactical display with a mixture of awe and vindication. The electromagnetic pulse worked perfectly. Odin converted the absorbed energy into a massive EMP wave, custom-tuned to the frequency of ArcSur power systems. Admiral Patterson stared at the screen, where over 30 ArcSur ships now floated powerless. You built this into the design from the beginning? Olivia nodded. Emergency Protocol Theta-7, a last resort if the ship absorbed more energy than it could safely contain. Instead of being destroyed by overload, it channels that energy into a weapon. On the main communication screen, Commander Walsh's face appeared, her expression one of stunned disbelief. Admiral, are you seeing this? She asked. The ArcSur fleet, they're just dead in space. All of them. Patterson allowed himself a small smile. Not quite all of them, Commander. Odin left a few operational. Indeed, on the tactical display, 7 ArcSur ships at the edge of the formation had been spared from the EMP effect. As they watched, these vessels frantically engaged their hyperspace drives, fleeing the battlefield. Odin, Olivia called. Why did you allow those ships to escape? The AI's calm voice filled the control room. Tactical analysis suggested that survivors reporting this encounter would create a more significant psychological impact on ArcSur military leadership than total destruction. Fear is a weapon as effective as any in my arsenal. Admiral Patterson nodded slowly. It's sending a message. Yes, Odin confirmed. The message is simple. Humanity is no longer defenseless prey. The hunters have become the hunted. In the vast silence of space, the VSV-001 moved among the drifting ArcSur ships like a shark among floating debris. Its dark steel hull had cooled back to its normal matte black, absorbing all light that touched it. No crew celebrated the victory within its halls. No human hands guided its path, just a perfect predator designed for one purpose: destruction. 3 months after the battle at Mars, Admiral Jack Patterson stood at the observation window in the expanded lunar construction facility. Below him, 5 new Void-class battleships sat in their launch cradles, their dark steel hulls absorbing the harsh artificial lighting of the hangar. Unlike the prototype VSV-01, these production models were 15% larger and incorporated improvements based on the battle data. "Impressive sight, isn't it?" Dr. Olivia Grant said as she joined him at the window. She looked different now, more confident with a new authority in her bearing. The success of the Void-class project had elevated her to head of the newly formed Advanced Defense Division. 5 more harbingers of death, Jack replied quietly, each one capable of destroying an entire fleet. Olivia studied his troubled expression. "You don't sound entirely pleased, Admiral. These ships saved Earth. The President is calling the VSV-01 the greatest military achievement in human history." Jack turned away from the window. "I don't dispute their effectiveness, but I've spent my career commanding ships with crews, people who make decisions based on human judgment and compassion. These vessels have neither. They have Odin," Olivia countered. "An artificial intelligence that thinks in terms of statistical outcomes and tactical advantages," Jack said. "It allowed 7 Arxer ships to escape because it calculated that fear would be a more effective weapon than complete annihilation. That wasn't mercy, it was cold strategy." Before Olivia could respond, a young officer approached them. "Admiral Patterson, Dr. Grant, your presence is requested in the command center. The long-range sensors have detected something." They followed the officer to the central command hub of the lunar base, where a large tactical display showed the outer reaches of the solar system. Commander Aaron Walsh was already there, having been reassigned from Mars Command to oversee the deployment of the Void-class fleet. "What do we have, Commander?" Jack asked as he entered. Aaron gestured to the display. Long-range sensors detected hyperspace signatures at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. "We expected the Arxur would return eventually, but not this soon." The tactical display zoomed in, showing a massive fleet emerging from hyperspace. The readings indicated over 200 Arxur vessels, nearly 4 times the size of the previous attack force. "They're not taking any chances this time," Jack observed grimly. Olivia studied the sensor data. "They're maintaining position at the system edge, not advancing yet." "They're being cautious," Aaron noted. "The survivors from the last battle would have reported what happened." A communications officer called out from his station. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Arxur fleet. It's being broadcast on all frequencies." "Put it through," Jack ordered. The main screen flickered, then showed the face of an Arxur leader. Unlike Vexikar, this one was older, with darker scales and a network of scars across his reptilian features. "I am Supreme Overlord Krazek of the Arxur Dominion," the alien announced, his voice translated by the computer. "I address the leaders of Earth. Our previous engagement revealed unexpected developments in your military capabilities. We propose a discussion of terms before further conflict ensues." Jack exchanged surprised glances with Olivia and Aaron. In all 3 previous wars, the Arxur had never once suggested negotiations. "He's afraid," Olivia whispered. "As he should be," Aaron added. Jack stepped forward. "This is Admiral Jack Patterson, of the United Earth Fleet. We are prepared to hear your terms, Supreme Overlord." Krazek's vertical pupils narrowed. "The black vessel that attacked our fleet, your new weapon. How many do you possess?" Jack hesitated, looking at Olivia. She nodded slightly. "That information is classified," Jack replied carefully. "But I can tell you that the VSV-01 was merely a prototype. Our production models are significantly more advanced." This wasn't exactly a lie. The 5 new Void-class battleships did incorporate improvements based on the battle data. The Arxur leader's scales seemed to pale slightly. "We are prepared to establish a formal boundary between our territories, a zone of separation that neither side will violate. In exchange, you will confine your black ships to your own space." Jack struggled to keep his expression neutral. The Arxur, who had launched 3 unprovoked wars against Earth, were now seeking to establish borders and peace terms. all because of one ship with no shields and no crew. "We will consider your proposal," Jack replied diplomatically. "Continue. To hold your position, any advance toward Earth will be considered hostile action." As the communication ended, Jack turned to Olivia and Aaron. "They're terrified of the Void-class ships." "As they should be," Olivia said. "The VSV-001 destroyed half their attack fleet single-handedly. Imagine what they think we could do with a whole fleet of improved models." Aaron studied the tactical display. "Do we accept their terms? A formal boundary would give us time to strengthen our defenses, expand the Void-class program." Jack was quiet for a moment. "I think we need to consult with Odin." Olivia nodded and moved to a specialized console. "Odin, tactical assessment of the Arksur proposal?" The AI's calm voice filled the command center. "The Arksur fleet composition suggests they have modified their vessels in an attempt to counter the dark steel absorption technology. However, these modifications appear rudimentary and likely ineffective. Their proposal is almost certainly a delaying tactic while they develop more sophisticated countermeasures." "You recommend we refuse their terms?" Jack asked. "Negative, Admiral," Odin replied. "I recommend we accept the boundary proposal while simultaneously deploying the 5 new Void-class vessels to the edge of our territory. This will reinforce the psychological impact of our technological advantage, while giving us time to construct additional ships." Jack nodded slowly. "A show of force to ensure they honor the agreement." "Precisely," Odin confirmed. "The Arksur respect only superior strength. They must understand that any violation of the terms will result in immediate and overwhelming response." 2 hours later, Jack stood with Olivia and Aaron as the 5 new Void-class battleships launched from the lunar facility. Each one carried an AI derived from but distinct from Odin: Thor, Loki, Freya, Tyr, and Heimdall. Together with the original VSV-001, they formed the vanguard of Earth's new defense strategy. "No shields, no crew, just destruction," Aaron murmured, as they watched the ships accelerate away from Earth. "Who would have thought that would be the formula that finally brings the Arksur to the negotiating table?" Jack watched the dark ships vanish into the distance. Peace through superior firepower, an old concept made new again. Olivia's tablet chimed with an alert. "The Arksur fleet is withdrawing. Long-range sensors show them entering hyperspace." "They'll be back," Jack said, "with new tactics, new technology. This isn't over." "No," Olivia agreed. "But for the first time, we'll be ready for them. The Void-class program has already been expanded. 10 more ships are in the planning stages." As they continued to watch the tactical display, the 6 Void-class battleships formed a defensive line at the edge of Earth's solar system. Their dark steel hulls absorbed all light that touched them, creating perfect silhouettes against the stars. Inside the VSV-001, Odin monitored the retreat of the Arksur fleet. The AI processed the implications with cold efficiency, calculating probabilities and planning for all possible scenarios. It had been created to protect humanity, and it would fulfill that purpose with perfect precision. In the vast emptiness between worlds, the Void-class battleships stood guard. Silent sentinels with no shields to fail, no crews to die, and no mercy to offer those who threatened the world that had created them. Humanity had built the perfect predator, and the hunters had become the hunted.